Joining me now, right here on set. It's very crowded, but it's lovely. Liz Peek, syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor. Caroline Downey, staff writer at the National Review. And Lee Carter, president of Maslansky and Partners. Ladies, welcome. Lee Carter, Harris winning the debate by a wide margin.
She did. She won the debate. She won the night. I had focus groups at Live that were saying that she did a great job that night, but she did not win any votes. Not one single person did I talk to that changed their mind based on that debate. And I found it fascinating because people said that she did a great job. They said that she was, all of these things. And I was like, then why aren't you going to vote for her? And here's what they said. The undecided voter, I had 9 of them in the room, said, I wanted to hear what she's going to do differently than Joe Biden. I wanted to hear what's different about the economy. I can't afford groceries now. I used to be able to afford groceries. What's she going to do to bring prices down? She didn't answer that very simple question for them, and it doesn't translate to votes. So great that she had a good night, but it doesn't matter.
Your brilliant press agent, Harris Faulkner, was on yesterday talking about you. We have some of the results, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats, if we can put it on the full screen. So let's just watch this. This is real time. It's a little slow. Go ahead. Go ahead. Now, the red is the Republican. I'm going to say yellow must be independent. Blue must be Democrat. Wait a minute. That yellow independent line is moving Republican. The blue line is flattening. Wait a second. Holy cow. So independents, that's very interesting. Independents, thought Trump did pretty well.
And this is exactly what we saw in 2016. In 2016, we saw the independents went lock and step with Republicans the entire time with Donald Trump. He did not have that in 2020. We didn't see it at all. We saw it again now, and I think it's a big difference. There's something that people don't understand is that more than 68% of Americans want change from how things are right now. Peter Doocy's right. People don't want the status quo. She's changed her slogan to moving forward because that's what people want. But how does she represent change? She hasn't answered that question. And I think it's a really big problem for her. People want to go back to the way things were under Donald Trump. They felt better. The economy was better. Immigration felt better. A lot of things felt better to them. So they're ready to go back.
Caroline Downey, catastrophic debate for Trump. That's my friend Karl Rove's article in the Wall Street Journal today. What do you make of that?
Well, I do think, to Lee's point, that Harris herself definitely blew him out of the water in terms of delivery, presentation, and preparation. But I think with Trump, what he did well was the passion. It was a very scrappy but real emotional admonition.
He had some real haymakers as in punching.
It was righteous anger.
He hit hard. Yes, that's right. That's a good way to put it.
Righteous anger.
So why is it a catastrophe? If you listen to what Lee is saying, so you win the night, but you didn't win the vote. And he had a lot of passion, and he's the change agent.
Right.
I mean, isn't that?
I think media is highly exaggerating how much of a slam dunk defeat Harris had over him because, like Lee said, undecideds, I think we're looking for more of an answer about how Harris will govern. She was extremely polished, but she did not really give specifics as to how she, won't be any different than Biden's horrible economic record.
She had that eyeball roll. That was really polished. Liz Peek, you buying stock in ABC? Who owns ABC?
Oh, I don't know. That was a disaster.
I know you weren't all that happy with the moderators.
I don't think anybody was. I mean, they were incredibly biased. They fact-checked Donald Trump, didn't fact-check Kamala Harris. I mean, obviously, this was on social media immediately. People were really throwing stones at these guys. I thought it was an embarrassment for them, an embarrassment for ABC. But I think to both of these points, what people wanted from Kamala Harris was to flesh out some of the top-line policy things that she's sort of thrown out there. And I think she can't. So she doesn't. And so there's no meat on these bones. So
that was the subject of my riff tonight. And also, you go back, all of you, and read. There's a terrific column by Byron York in the Washington Examiner on this very point. The first question, okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
she just skirted it entirely.
That's right. But that was the question. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And, you're kind of an economic person. She didn't really make it, did she?
She can't, Larry. I mean, the disappointment in Donald Trump is he has 1,000 facts on his side. And he just didn't even dredge up one, I don't think, to really make his case. And that was very discouraging because I heard Byron Donalds ahead of time, and a couple of other guys, Tom Cotton, talking about Trump, what he should say in the debate. Oh, my gosh, it was such a clear message, and Trump just didn't deliver the message. But guess what? I mean, I don't think Lee's right.
The thing that's so interestingly on this Liz's last point, Trump really gave a detailed economic speech before the New York Economics Club, which was covered worldwide. I mean, he was speaking in New York in Midtown, but it was a global speech. And it was a very good speech, in my opinion. You might not even like the speech, but you wouldn't begrudge the fact that it was a carefully put together speech with a number of policy details. And I can attest to the fact that he knows those details. So I was disappointed more details didn't come out. But on your point about the independents and, she may have won the night, but she didn't win the vote, or I think of it, she won tactically, but she may not have won it in terms of what Caroline was saying, emotionally or impact of policy. What were those independents saying? I mean, you interview them? Were they saying that it was about change, or they didn't like her, or they did like him, or what? Is there a way to narrow down on that?
Okay, so what they said is they were impressed with her preparation. They felt that she was smarter than they expected her to be, but she didn't address their concerns. She didn't get to
Liz's point, basically.
She didn't get to the heart of the matter. She
Right.
didn't address the issues of the economy. She didn't address the issues of immigration. The one point, if you think back to that debate, there's very few things that you're going to remember exactly what they said, but you're going to remember two things. One, you're going to remember the comments about the dogs, and we can talk about that separately. The other that they're going to remember is that he said, then why haven't you done it in the last 3.5 years?
That was the zinger.
And when you went through, and at the end of the debate, I went through and asked every single voter what stuck out to them. That was the thing.
That was a
hasn't
haymaker.
She done it?
That was an
3.5 years?
that was an uppercut to the jaw that could have been a knockout in the 15th round. Frankly,
Yeah.
I mean,
But
really.
to Lee's point, it was a stalemate debate at the end of the day, and it was frustrating for two reasons. Because Trump has all the statistics in his arsenal to brag about. I mean, the fact that there was record low unemployment for minorities under his administration, the fact that real wages went up. He did not cite any of that. But similarly, Kamala Harris on the economy failed to extricate herself from the Biden
I would argue
administration.
that he doesn't have to say all those things because everybody in the room, right, left, middle, decided, undecided, say that Trump's
better
economy was a better economy. He doesn't have to list facts. Facts aren't the message.
It's like
The only thing
It's
I'd
nostalgia.
say is that Kamala Harris lies all the time about the Trump economy. She started off talking about the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. No, that was because
helps
COVID
Trump.
shut down the economy. So, but I'm just saying, there are people out there listening to her and saying, oh boy, that was
lied
pretty
on
bad.
abortion.
Oh, she lied about everything.
She
He
lied on
has
no combat.
opposed.
Yes,
he has
I know.
opposed a federal ban on abortion, and he has favored in vitro fertilization.
Totally.
She just lied twice. Does that matter? She lied on a key issue, a social issue, which has emotional appeal, and and the ABC moderators didn't call her on it.
I think
Or
that's
anything.
Caroline,
Not only that,
is
but
just unbelievable.
Yes, but she lied through her teeth. This was what National Review was really angry about because we have a lot of veterans at NR. And Mark Wright specifically said the moderators did not fact check that she said we have no U.S. military members in any combat
that's
zones.
right.
Which,
We
by the
have
way, is
4.
incredibly ignorant.
And-
Shame on
yes.
her that she doesn't know that.
We have 4 designated war zones. We have service members stationed in Iraq, in Yemen. We have a naval ship
So, like-
there.
And 3 servicemen were killed in January in Jordan.
Right.
I mean, does Kamala not know that?
But people
No.
watching know that.
Maybe.
I think people
hope
are
so.
smarter than you think. They're smarter than you think. It's just interesting. You're giving a balanced view. I mean, I understand some opportunities were lost. A fact or two sometimes goes a long way, but that's the business that Liz and I are in, or used to be in, or something like that. But it's just
Like
interesting.
facts.
I looked at it for, okay, I've said 100 times on this set, she's not stupid. Nobody should call her stupid. She
Absolutely
is not
not.
a moron, and no one. I've said that many, many times. Okay. Having said that, she proved that. The bar was low for her. So tactically, I think she scored points. But policy-wise, emotionally, I like your emotional point very, very much. And there's votes didn't change.
You know, the only thing I'd say, Larry,
I gotta
is
get out. Liz.
okay.
I gotta get out. Sorry, you're fabulous, all of you. Please, I never like to stop. Liz P,
Yeah.
Caroline Downey, Lee Carter. Lee, come around more often. We'd love to
Will
have you.
do.
We got an open spot for you.